Great. I know, we do a lot. Go.
So our September meeting of the Economic Growth and Development Committee to order. And first action is seeking approval of our August 20th committee meeting minutes. Somebody want to make a motion? First by Supervisor Presidio and a second by Supervisor Turner. Any comments on the meeting minutes? Call the question. All in favor of approving them, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. Will go into our action agenda. One request only from Planning and Community Development is to establish capital account H449. Ethan or Sarah, do you want to add some color to that?
Yeah, so in partnership with the Lake Champlain, Lake George Regional Planning Board, they recognize that water quality degradation is critical issue for regional economy. So they supported us by going after Lake Champlain Basin Program funds to support our ongoing DEC program. So this $50,000 is part of a $110,000 or $111,000 grant award, but this is for making replacements of actual septic systems, and the other funding is available for administrative costs with running the DEC program. So this is simply moving money into an account from that grant agreement so that we can use it in the same way that we're using the DEC funds, septic replacements.
Somebody want to make a motion to bring that to the floor? There's by Supervisor Strone, second by Supervisor Wild. Any discussion? Call the question. All in favor of establishing capital account H449, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that carries. The discussion items. Let's start with budget review.
Great. So our department, it's planning, community development, and GIS all held together. So today I've got 4 different accounts that I'm going to walk you through, actually 3, and Sarah will do the other GIS. So I guess I'll just start right at the top. Excuse me. Budget account code 8020 is it's a dormant account that we leave open for other planning projects, capital projects that we need to have a separate account for. We are not asking for any funding for that. We're simply just keeping that open. The primary budget code that we use for our department is 8021. You'll see on paper we have a 8.5% increase in budget. However, this is really just due to reconciling the fact that we're receiving $25,000 from occupancy tax that supports various, and this is the second year we've been doing this. This is the first year we're actually legitimizing it into our revenues. So we had an awesome presentation earlier this spring from the New York State Controller about the budgeting process, and we realized that we need to actually have a line for this. So we now have a revenue and then expenditure code for this $25,000. So that accounts for the increase. Besides from that, any of the other increases are things that are largely beyond our control. Legacy costs for retirement, healthcare. Our department runs a pretty our budget is primarily focused on personnel and a fairly modest allocation for things like telephone, data, subscriptions, which is also increased due to the cloud-based nature. I think every department's in the same boat. And then we have a fairly modest amount for things like ongoing training and education, which has been invaluable. We have professional planners on staff. We need to maintain our credits and bring back new ideas to the county. So those are the primary aspects of that budget line. And then I'm going to skip over Sarah's right now. That's 8022. And I'm just going to go to 8029. This has been a fund that we included in the planning department's budget for a number of years now. This is for the local waterfront revitalization program support. That's just a technical term for the state program. We know it as the First Wilderness Heritage Corridor program. We've typically reserved funds in this account to support the implementation of the First Wilderness Heritage Corridor. In years previous, we've used this funding to continue to develop grant concepts, work with landscape architects and engineers, to prepare projects for readiness for funding. It can be, small contracts for technical support to advance First Wilderness Heritage Corridor projects. This puts us in a better position to help some of our smaller communities as well that might not be able to quickly, move $8,000 or $5,000 to support a project. We were in conversation with the Department of State, who manages the local waterfront revitalization program. We asked them about First Wilderness, knowing it's a 20-year-old program now. We said, is this still a viable and good program? They said, yes, absolutely. So we want to continue to use that program. Keeping this funding here, it really does support our smaller municipalities that don't have the planning staff or the resource to go after some of the grants that are constantly coming up. So that's the primary change in that one. Last year, we had reduced it to $10,000 from previous years of $20,000. In light of the state funding opportunities out there, we do want to keep that fund a little bit more robust this year. So that's a primary change there. And I'll just go back real quickly to from the planning community development side, sorry. Our goals for this year, and I think it's a new thing for the budget process, and it's a good exercise to do. Our primary goals, we have Warren County 24, which was adopted in June of 2025. This is an incredible resource for us, and it does lay out a roadmap for the next 10 or 15 years. We want to continue to, really work that plan, follow up on those initiatives. It was a statement of priorities from the county and the public. So that's given us a lot of direction with how we function as a department. Want to continue to implement the housing strategy action items. As a matter of fact, we have a housing task force meeting on September 30th. It's coming up. Encourage elected officials to attend as long as we don't hit quorum there. But that's going to be a great conversation about land banks. Over the past year, we've done a lot of work with municipalities, treasurer's office, working on issues like short-term rentals, helping out communities as they develop their own regulations on their own terms. The next bullet item there for our 2026 initiatives and goals, pursuing outdoor recreation economy goals. This has been, again, a plan that was finalized in, earlier this year, late last year. It's a really growing segment of our economy. We have a roadmap for how we can support municipalities and other regional efforts in this, and we want to continue to put resources into that. The fourth bullet is delivering expanded technical assistance to municipalities. In 2025, we reconstituted our planning and zoning group, which we worked with planning and zoning administrators across the county, as well as providing workshops. We've invited in Adirondack Park Agency, Department of State, where we invite all members of local planning and zoning town boards to come in, learn about best practices, regulatory changes, have a nice, one-on-one. We bring those training sessions here to the county. We want to continue to do that in 2026. We think that in light of demographic trends and staffing challenges across the county, we really need to make sure that each one of our municipalities is prepared to handle things like development pressure and any other challenges that are coming their way. And that also helps provide required training. Each board member in your municipality is required 4 annual hours of training. This will allow us to deliver that here at no cost locally, on topics that are actually relevant to Warren County as well. And then, our final bullet point is to continue to secure non-local funds for Warren County and municipalities. We've had a lot of luck in the last few years, targeting grant programs, a lot of new ones coming out. But we need to continue to do this, and this is all the more important now with, fiscal pressures coming from all different angles. And, that final bullet on, securing non-local funds, like really now with having Warren County 2040 in place, we do have a pretty good roadmap for the projects that are important to the county. So we will continue to be a resource at the county and local level for those kind of projects. So those are our initiatives and goals. And the plan. If you have any questions on that, I can answer them now, and then pivot to Sarah for her budget.
Any questions on the planning side of the departmental budget? Sure.
Okay, so very flat budget from last year, slight decrease in the general expenses of about $1,400. We are also planning to eliminate the position of construction cost coordinator. The person in that position retired, and we are not planning to refill it. So that was a part-time position. Dropped the budget by about $35,000. some, just very minor, changes in our subscription costs. We have some increase in revenue due to the grant funding we received for the Brownfield project, which will be a lot of salary reimbursement for GIS staff. And then a slight increase in contracts just to restore our technical support contract to previous levels from the year before last, from 2,000 to 4,000. So, very minor changes overall. As far as goals and initiatives for this year, major projects are continuing to work on our Thriving Hamlets project, which is our detailed build out analyses for the hamlets in the First Wilderness in support of housing increases, helping to determine potential areas for sewer and water infrastructure, looking at helping the municipalities look at potential modifications of their zoning codes to help increase density. So that has been ongoing through the course of this year and will continue into next year. Along with the Brownfield inventory project that I just mentioned. I know at a future meeting we'll go into more date about that, but that is underway, getting started on that, and that will be a major time commitment on the GIS side for 2026. One other thing that is on our plate for 2026 is transitioning two of our most widely used online applications, which are the community map and the recreation mapper. Will be transitioning those to a new platform. The platform development platform that the community map is on is being retired, so we'll be transitioning that, and then we are working on redeveloping the recreation mapper based on suggestions that came out of the Outdoor Recreation Economy Strategic Plan. So we're hoping to develop a more robust recreation mapper that has some additional tools and information that's not in the current version. Also, one big thing that we're continuing to work on is just to explore ways that we can increase collaboration. So primarily with Jeremy and the IT department, we're looking at ways that we can work together to share data across departments to both improve efficiencies within the individual departments, as well as hopefully provide additional services for taxpayers accessing our online applications. So that is a big push for 2026.
Questions on GIS budget goals? The community mapper won't be off for any migration time period or?
Nope, we'll be working on the new version behind the scenes, and we'll probably have both of them up for a period of time.
Using it at any minute
Yeah.
of the day, title companies, real estate folks.
Yeah, gonna try to make the new one look very similar to the old one, so that there won't be a big learning curve.
Project updates?
Yeah, just briefly, as Sarah had mentioned in some of our annual goals, we're continuing with the Thriving Hamlets initiative. At last month's committee meeting and subsequent board meeting, we did secure civil and municipal engineers to help support that planning effort, continuing to drive down into hamlets to understand on each community's own individual terms, what is appropriate housing types for them, and then figure out strategies to achieve that sort of housing. That's a really exciting project. And then we did just kick off the, technically it's called the Brownfield Opportunity Area. This is on the county scale. We received funding for this program. All of our salaries are covered on it. And we're going to look across the entire county for, vacant, abandoned, dilapidated structures that present themselves in patterns. And then the end result of this study will be a very good understanding of where the opportunities are for redevelopment. And then On the municipal level, each municipality could choose to enter further into the Brownfield Opportunity Area Program. The city of Glens Falls and the town of Queensbury have both been beneficiaries of this program. It's been out of touch for a lot of rural communities. So we're getting started with that. Anticipate that all the supervisors, you'll be contacted if we are to engage with your municipal staff on this project. So that'll be upcoming. We do have a project website online, access through our planning department website. And then additionally, the Housing Task Force will be meeting on September 30th. Encourage anyone here who's interested to learn about the topic of land banks to attend. We are having practitioners from 4 different land banks across New York State to come give a broad overview of how their operations work, how they're organized, who they partner with, some of the strategies that they're pursuing. And this is in hope that we'll understand if an apparatus like this is appropriate for Warren County. And then, as we continue these discussions with the Housing Task Force and these other practitioners, we can start, taking a deeper dive into, what that looks like for Warren County. So that'll be an interesting conversation on the 30th, and we can report back to anyone who won't be able to make it.
Any questions from the committee? Anything else from the planning department? Any public comment? Go into workforce development.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon, everybody. We are not doing a budget review today because our federal money is in negotiation right now, still. And I'm going to get into that a little bit further in our discussion items, but I just have some very quick action items, if I can proceed with those.
Yep.
Okay.
So action A, request A, resolution to request to amend budget to receive a $5,000 donation.
So you may recall last spring, we came to committee and asked for approval to apply for the Green Economy Fund to support this pilot training program to help people with criminal records, get manufacturing training and get jobs. We did not win that grant. However, there's a private donation to help us pilot this program. And the private donation was $50,000, but we only need $5,000 to do the stipends. For the program participants. We're working with Warren County Jail, Baywood, other community partners to identify people who are appropriate for this pilot training program that will give them the skills to build these water filtration systems. And they'll also learn job readiness skills from me and my team. And then we're partnering with local manufacturing businesses who are willing to interview them and hire them upon successful completion of this program. So this first request is to amend our budget just to receive the $5,000 for the pilot program. I did list in the agreement that it's going to for 2 months, even though it's only a week-long program. I just put 2 months in case, there's any rescheduling that has to happen. But our goal is to implement it the end of October, and we are working with Local 773 to do the training there at their site, and they've been more than gracious.
Do you want to make a motion, bring this?
Move A and B together.
Together. I got a first from Supervisor Wild and a second from Supervisor Stroud to do A and B.
Yeah.
Discussion. I'll call the question. All in favor of approving resolution request A and B, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Most carried. Into the discussion section, Liza.
Yes, thank you. So I definitely wanted to share many of our successes in 2025 so far, so that we can continue this work. At our recent hospitality workforce recognition celebration on Lake George Steamboat, we had 350 hospitality tourism workers participate. Most of that funding was donated, prizes, thousands of dollars worth in prizes donated. And working with Heather Bagshaw of Tourism to maybe use occupancy tax in the future to keep that tradition going. So we're excited that that was successful. We had 17 youth participate in summer youth employment. 2 of those were offered full-time employment after that. We had 5 college interns. 2 of them were here at Warren County offices this summer. And we do use county funding from investment in workforce development for that. So I think it's a great return on investment. And we hosted 2 additional school job fairs this spring. So we added, we've been doing Glens Falls, Queensbury, Lake George. We added North Warren and Warrensburg this past spring. So we're glad that we're able to reach more youth, to make them aware of local employment opportunities for teenagers and get them into the workforce. We're still continuing with Big Brothers Big Sisters career mentoring program. That will kick off again this fall. That was successful last year. And since January 2025, our partnership with social services, we've had 51 of social services clients attend and complete Pathways to Employment classes at our career center. So every month we get a referral list. Some of them show up, some of them do not, but if they're deemed employable, they are required to come to our employment class, and 51 of them so far this year have done that. So that partnership with DSS and with our adult funds has been really successful. And we have still positive low unemployment rates, which is great. So the August numbers just came out, and Warren County as well as Glens Falls metro area are both still at 3.4%. So anything under 5% is considered full employment. That has been consistent for the last year. It's about the same rate as it was August 2024. So that's really positive. There have been fewer jobs. If we look at the data from August 2024 to August 2025, we did lose a lot of jobs in the Glens Falls metro area, but that's because Washington County is included, and they lost about 700 jobs with Great Meadow closure. So nothing to worry about right now in terms of job opportunities and unemployment rate. It's only with our funding that we're waiting to see what happens. So there's a lot of negotiation happening at the federal level right now. There's 3 or 4 bills that have been proposed around workforce development. There's pros and cons to each of them, like all bills. But we are hoping that WIOA Workforce Investment Opportunity Act continues to be funded. There are 90 career centers across New York State under 33 workforce boards, and across the country, that's 2,300 job centers. And job centers have existed since 1911. So while the grant name has changed over time, the emphasis on workforce development, training, and employment, and people having a federally funded local job center to go to, that's been consistent for decades, right? We are worried about losing that, right? So that money has been covering those costs so that municipalities don't have to cover those costs. We had over 26 people complete trainings already this year, and a lot of those are municipal workers. Another DPW Warren County employee finished his CDLA license yesterday. He passed his test. We're paying for those costs, right? And that is helping us upskill and retain workers and saving municipalities money, saving job seekers money. And we want to be able to keep doing that. So our funding, which is in adult, dislocated worker, and youth buckets, is critical so that we can continue these programs and services that not only our community and job seekers rely on, but our businesses as well. The structure of having a workforce board and job centers is what delivers the services and programs, no matter who the administration is, right? So if there is a new, if there are new initiatives, we still have to make sure that we have a system in place to deliver those services and programs. So there's a lot of discussion and debate right now. Our rent is also going up and isn't discussion, and we're waiting on an updated lease from Department of Labor. So I'm hoping by next month you'll have an accurate budget to look for, to discuss. But right now everything is in negotiation, and our costs. Our budget has gone down in my department. Our federal budget has gone down $156,000, which is over 20% the last 3 years, while the cost for salaries, fringe, training, and supplies has gone up. So we've been able to supplement our federal money with the county $100,000 investment in workforce development the last 3 years. And that's been incredibly helpful. But certainly, as costs are going up, we still need, the adult money, if that's cut in the next month, that's 42% of our budget, that's $200,000. And that's staff positions and that's programs and services that promote the trades, that help youth get GED. We had 2 youth graduate their GED program this spring. One of them's enrolled in SUNY Adirondack and doing exceptionally well. The other one is working for his dad's company. So, this federal money is critical for our programs and services and our communities and saving your municipalities money. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any- Budget. Are you doing Zoom floor? Any other questions from the committee? No. All right, we can move into public comments.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to tell the committee, despite the fact these guys are millennials and Gen Y guys, you got 2 super departments back there that are firing on all cylinders, really doing great work. They punch way above their weight. The value they bring to the county is unbelievable for the size of their teams and the size of their budget. So from my side, I just want to say thanks. That's wanted the committee to recognize.
Absolutely.
Yeah, agreed.
Thank you. You do a great job.
Thank
You really do.
you. Yeah. I'm 40.
Well, forget it then.
Didn't shake yet.
Hey, every few days, yeah.
Motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
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 I